Trash belongs in the dumpster, not first class. Karen Williams didn't stop at words. She grabbed Maya's designer bag and hurled it to the floor. The zipper burst open. Maya's MacBook Pro cracked against the concrete. Her documents scattered like confetti across filthy tiles. Maya stumbled backward, her hoodie catching on a metal barrier. 22 years old, dressed in faded jeans, she looked helpless as gate passengers whipped out phones. The camera flashes started immediately. Karen planted herself between Maya and the first-class boarding line, arms crossed like a bouncer. Her name badge gleamed under harsh terminal lights. Gate manager, 15 years service. The crowd thickened. Whispers spread. Maya's hands trembled as she knelt to gather her belongings from strangers' feet. Have you ever been judged so harshly that strangers assumed you were a criminal, just because of how you looked? Karen's voice boomed across Gate 42, ensuring every passenger within 50 feet could hear her verdict. Young lady, I need proof you purchased this ticket legally. Corporate policy requires additional verification for passengers like you. She drew out those last 3 words like a prosecutor delivering evidence. Her body language screamed authority, arms locked across her chest, feet planted wide. She positioned herself directly in Maya's path to first-class boarding, creating a human barricade that forced other passengers to navigate around the spectacle. The departure board overhead flickered ominously. Flight 847 to Los Angeles. Final boarding, 10 minutes. Maya rose slowly from collecting her scattered belongings, her worn leather portfolio clutched against her chest. The gold embossing caught the light briefly. Most passengers didn't notice the elegant script, but a few business travelers squinted at the unfamiliar logo.
My name is Maya Johnson, she said quietly, pronouncing each syllable clearly. Not Maya, as you keep saying.
Karen's smirk widened. Don't get an attitude with me, Miss Johnson. I've been managing this gate for 15 years. I know suspicious behavior when I see it. 30 feet away, passenger Jessica Martinez fumbled with her phone, opening Facebook Live. Y'all are not going to believe the discrimination happening at JFK right now, she whispered into the camera. The viewer count started at 0, then climbed 12, 23, 47 viewers. Comments began flooding the stream. What airline is this? Get their badge numbers. Someone called corporate. Maya pulled out her boarding pass, hands steady despite the growing crowd. Karen snatched it, examining it like a forensic expert hunting for forgeries. First class, huh? That's convenient. Karen waved the pass theatrically. Let me see the credit card you used to purchase this ticket. That's not standard protocol, Maya replied, her voice never rising above conversational level. She opened her wallet carefully, revealing a glimpse of platinum plastic and something else. A small family photo tucked behind her ID. The image showed Maya smiling beside an elegant black woman in a sharp business suit, but Karen was too focused on the credit card to notice. 8 minutes left. Chase Sapphire Reserve. Karen held the card up to the light, as if checking for counterfeits. Interesting choice for someone your age. How exactly does a college student afford a $550 annual fee? Maya's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She glanced at her watch, sleek, expensive, clearly not a knockoff, and muttered something under her breath. Excuse me? Karen leaned closer, sensing weakness. I said my mother's flight should be landing soon. Maya's tone remained measured, professional. She'll be interested to hear about Pinnacle Airlines customer service standards. Karen laughed, a harsh sound that carried across the gate area. Oh, so now Mommy's going to come save you? What's she going to do, complain to the corporate? The irony hung in the air, invisible to everyone except Maya. Jessica's live stream had grown to 312 viewers. The comments were getting heated. This is disgusting. Sue them! Airport discrimination. She's handling this better than I would. But some voices supported Karen. She's just doing her job. Security protocols exist for a reason. Maya methodically photographed Karen's badge with her phone, capturing the name and employee number. Then she opened her voice recorder app. For the record, I'm documenting this interaction. Ms. Williams, could you state your full name and position for my report? Your report? Karen's eyebrows shot up. Who exactly are you planning to report to? I am the authority here. 6 minutes left. Security Officer Mike Rodriguez approached, his radio crackling with distant chatter. His hand rested casually on his belt, a subtle threat that didn't go unnoticed by the growing crowd of spectators. Problem here, Karen? His tone suggested this wasn't his first time backing up her authority. Just a passenger who thinks rules don't apply to her, Karen replied, gesturing dismissively at Maya. Claims she has a first-class ticket, but something doesn't add up. Maya looked directly at the security officer. I'd like the contact number for Pinnacle Airlines corporate customer service, please, and your name and badge number for my documentation. Rodriguez hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with being recorded. Maya's phone was still capturing everything, and Jessica's live stream now had nearly 500 viewers watching the confrontation unfold in real time. Maya's portfolio slipped slightly, revealing a corner of what looked like official documentation letterhead, visible for just a moment before she adjusted her grip. Nobody caught the significance except one sharp-eyed business traveler who did a double-take. The gate area buzzed with tension. Passengers checked their own phones, some joining Jessica's live stream, others texting friends about the drama. The story was already beginning to spread beyond the physical space of Terminal 3. Maya checked her watch again, a small smile ghosting across her lips. Keep recording, she told Jessica quietly. This is about to get very interesting. 8 minutes left. Assistant Manager Beth Cooper emerged from the back office like a shark smelling blood in the water. Her polyester blazer and plastic smile screamed middle management desperation. What seems to be the issue here? Beth's voice carried the practiced tone of someone who'd attended every corporate de-escalation seminar but learned nothing about actual human decency. Karen straightened, energized by backup. Suspicious passenger, Beth. Claims she belongs in first class, but look at her. She gestured at Maya's hoodie and jeans like presenting evidence in court. Something's not right. The digital countdown mocked them all. Flight 847, boarding closes. 7 minutes. Jessica's Facebook Live exploded with activity. Viewer count, 312, 445, 623. Comments streamed faster than she could read. This is insane. Get their names. Someone tagged the airline. Hashtag JFK discrimination trending on Twitter. But the support wasn't universal. Maybe she is suspicious. They're just doing their jobs. Why doesn't she just cooperate? Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling to a contact marked simply security, and hit the dial. She spoke quietly, professionally. Hi, this is Maya. I need you to review footage from Terminal 3, Gate 42 for the last 15 minutes. Yes, I'll hold on. Karen's eyes narrowed. Who are you calling? You can't just... I'm documenting everything. Maya interrupted calmly. Standard protocol when filing discrimination complaints. 6 minutes left. The crowd thickened like gathering storm clouds. Business travelers checked their watches impatiently. Families with children pressed closer, sensing drama. 3 teenagers held up phones, turning the humiliation into content for their social feeds. Security Officer Rodriguez shifted nervously, his radio crackling with distant chatter about passenger situations and potential delays. His supervisor's voice cut through the static. Handle it quickly, Mike. We've got senators flying out of Terminal 2. Beth Cooper stepped forward, her smile stretching wider and more artificial. Miss Johnson, was it? We just need to verify your ticket purchase. Surely you understand we have security protocols. For passengers like me? Maya's voice remained level, but her eyes hardened. Please clarify what you mean by that. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Beth's smile flickered. Announcement echoes through Terminal. Pinnacle Airlines Flight 203 from Atlanta has arrived at Gate 15. Maya checked her expensive watch again, a Cartier that cost more than Karen's monthly salary, though nobody seemed to notice the luxury hiding in plain sight. That small smile returned to her lips.
Perfect timing,
she murmured. 5 minutes left. Karen grabbed the gate microphone with theatrical authority. Her voice boomed across the entire boarding area. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a passenger situation requiring additional security screening. Flight 847 boarding will be delayed while we resolve safety concerns. The announcement hit like a bomb. Passengers groaned. Business travelers started making angry phone calls. Parents with cranky toddlers shot daggers at Maya, the presumed cause of their misery. Jessica's live stream viewer count exploded, 1,247 watching live. The comment section became a war zone. Sue them all. This is America in 2024. Boycott Pinnacle Airlines. She brought this on herself. Where is the manager? A flight attendant appeared, confusion written across her face. Karen, what's the holdup? We need to close the door. Security situation, Karen announced importantly. This passenger needs additional screening before we can allow boarding. Maya stood in the eye of the hurricane, surrounded by hostile faces and pointing cameras. She appeared completely isolated, a young woman in casual clothes facing down the entire airline authority structure. But she wasn't panicking. If anything, she seemed to be waiting for something. 4 minutes left. Rodriguez moved closer, hand hovering near his restraints. Miss, we need you to come with us for secondary screening. Company policy.
Whose company?
Maya asked quietly. The question seemed odd, almost nonsensical. Rodriguez frowned. Beth Cooper's smile faltered completely. Even Karen looked momentarily confused by the strange response. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it, and that mysterious smile grew wider.
Actually, she said, tucking her phone away, I think we should wait just a moment longer. There's someone who should witness this conversation.
3 minutes left. The boarding area fell into a strange, electric silence. Something in Maya's tone had shifted, not louder, not angrier, but somehow more confident, more certain. Karen sensed the change and didn't like it. We don't have time for games, little girl. Security is removing you from this gate area right now.
I wouldn't do that if I were you,
Maya said softly. The words carried an authority that seemed impossible from someone who'd just been humiliated in front of hundreds of people. Beth Cooper took an unconscious step backward. Rodriguez's hand dropped from his belt. Jessica zoomed her camera closer, sensing something big was about to happen. Her viewers felt it too. The comment stream paused as 1,500 people held their collective breath. The sound of confident heels clicking against terminal tiles echoed from the corridor. Sharp, purposeful steps that seemed to cut through the chaos like a sword. Maya straightened her shoulders. The helpless victim was disappearing, replaced by someone else entirely.
That would be my ride,
she said quietly, no longer looking at Karen but past her, toward the approaching sound. The clicking grew louder, closer. 2 minutes left. Karen turned toward the sound, irritation flashing across her face. Now what? If this is some kind of... She stopped mid-sentence. Her face went white. The entire gate area seemed to hold its breath as a figure emerged from the corridor, and Maya Johnson's impossible calm finally made perfect sense. Maya opened her worn leather portfolio with deliberate precision. The crowd pressed closer, phones recording every movement. Inside the weathered folder lay credentials that would shatter everything Karen Williams thought she knew about power. She removed a single business card, thick, expensive cardstock with embossed lettering, and placed it silently in Karen's trembling hand. The card read, Maya Johnson, Chief Operating Officer, Pinnacle Airlines Group. Time seemed to freeze. Karen's face drained of all color, her confident smirk dissolving into shock.
Security Officer Rodriguez's hand dropped from his radio like dead weight. Assistant Manager Beth Cooper's plastic smile cracked completely. Jessica's Facebook Live erupted in chaos. Viewer count spiked past 2,000 as comments exploded. "Holy shit! Plot twist of the century. She's the coup? Karen is so fired. Oh my God, oh my God." "Ms. Williams," Maya said quietly, her voice carrying new authority, "I believe you requested additional verification. Here's mine." She produced her corporate ID badge, the one that had been hidden beneath her hoodie all along. The Pinnacle Airlines logo gleamed under the harsh terminal lights, along with her title and security clearance level that granted her access to every gate, every flight, every employee record in the company. Karen stared at the credentials like they were written in a foreign language. I don't... This can't be... Maya reached into her portfolio again, pulling out an executive travel authorization and a board meeting agenda stamped with Monday's date. Each document bore the official company seal and her signature approval. "I'm traveling to our Los Angeles headquarters for quarterly board meetings," Maya explained, her tone shifting from defensive to professional. "I dress comfortably for long flights. My mother, CEO Patricia Johnson, expects my arrival report by midnight." The name hit the crowd like lightning. Business travelers whipped out phones, frantically Googling. Patricia Johnson's face appeared on screen after screen Forbes covers, Wall Street Journal profiles, aviation industry magazines, one of the most powerful women in American business. Karen's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. She looked like a fish gasping for air. Your mother is..." Karen's voice came out as a strangled whisper. "The CEO," Maya confirmed. "She should be arriving from her Atlanta board meetings right about now. Would you like to explain your customer service philosophy directly to her?" The approaching footsteps grew louder, sharp, confident heels that commanded attention. The crowd began turning toward the sound, sensing something monumental approaching. Maya's transformation was complete. Gone was the helpless young woman in casual clothes. In her place stood a corporate executive who'd been conducting an unintentional audit of her own company's discrimination practices. Security's immediate panic. Rodriguez stepped forward, his demeanor completely changed. "Ma'am, we didn't know. Is there anything we can do to assist you?" Maya's eyes never left Karen's face. "Yes. I need the security footage from the last 20 minutes and incident reports from everyone involved in this interaction." Beth Cooper tried to salvage the situation, her voice cracking with false cheerfulness. "Ms. Johnson, surely we can work this out internally. No need for reports or..." "There's every need," Maya interrupted smoothly. "This incident was live-streamed to over 2,000 viewers and documented by multiple passengers. Pinnacle Airlines' response will be public whether we want it to be or not." The live stream explosion. Jessica's stream had become a phenomenon. Viewer count, 2,847 and climbing rapidly. Major news outlets were already reaching out through the comments. "CNN here, can we interview you?" "TMZ wants to license this footage." Fox News requesting comment. CEO Mom and Hellish Pinnacle discrimination were trending nationally. Other passengers in the terminal had joined the stream, creating a multi-angle documentation of the unfolding corporate crisis. Maya's strategic revelation. "Ms. Williams," Maya continued, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to boardroom negotiations, "what you experienced tonight was actually quite educational. You see, I've been reviewing customer complaints about discrimination in our system. Your name appears in 14 separate incidents over the past 18 months. Karen's face somehow went even whiter. Those complaints were... 8 of them specifically involved passengers of color. The legal department estimates our liability exposure at $2.3 million in potential settlements." Maya's tone remained conversational, but each fact landed like a hammer blow. The approaching footsteps were almost upon them now. Maya glanced toward the corridor with anticipation rather than anxiety. The moment before impact. I suggest you prepare your explanation, Maya told Karen quietly. My mother doesn't appreciate being kept waiting, and she especially doesn't appreciate employees who make her company look bad on social media. Karen followed Maya's gaze toward the sound of approaching authority. Her entire body began to shake as the reality of her situation crystallized. She hadn't just discriminated against a random passenger, she'd humiliated the COO of her own company, broadcast it to thousands of viewers, and was about to face the CEO personally. The crowd's realization word spread through the gate area like wildfire. Passengers pulled up Patricia Johnson's Wikipedia page on their phones, sharing images and net worth calculations. Business travelers who'd initially supported Karen's security protocols now desperately deleted their social media comments supporting the discrimination. The teenagers who'd been filming for entertainment suddenly realized they were documenting corporate history in the making. Their casual TikToks had become evidence in what would surely be a major discrimination case. Maya's final setup. "One more thing, Ms. Williams," Maya said, checking her Cartier watch again. "This wasn't entirely accidental. We've received 17 complaints about discrimination at this specific gate over the past 6 months. I was conducting an informal assessment of our customer service standards." The implication hit like a freight train. This hadn't been random. It was corporate oversight that had exposed systemic problems. "So, in a way," Maya continued with devastating calm, "you've been extremely helpful. You've provided a perfect case study in exactly the behavior we're working to eliminate from Pinnacle Airlines." The sound of heels stopped just outside the gate area. A figure appeared in the corridor, tall, commanding, unmistakably powerful even from a distance. Maya straightened her shoulders one final time. "Mom's here." Patricia Johnson entered Gate 42 like a force of nature sweeping through a boardroom full of incompetent executives. At 52, she commanded attention without demanding it. Her tailored navy Armani suit fit perfectly across her athletic frame, each line crafted to project authority. Diamond earrings caught the harsh terminal lights, sparking like warnings. Her stride spoke of boardrooms conquered, billion-dollar decisions made before breakfast, and competitors crushed with elegant precision. 3 executives flanked her. 2 men in expensive suits carrying leather portfolios, and a woman with a tablet already open to what looked like legal documents. Behind them, 2 corporate security personnel swept the area with professional eyes, noting exits, camera angles, and potential threats to their CEO's reputation. The crowd recognized her immediately. Phones emerged like paparazzi cameras as passengers snapped photos of one of America's most powerful CEOs walking directly into their viral discrimination drama. Business travelers who'd been complaining about delays suddenly straightened their ties, hoping for LinkedIn-worthy selfies. The mother-daughter dynamic. "Maya, darling," Patricia's voice carried across the sudden silence, warm honey laced with steel. "I received your message during my Atlanta meetings. I see we have developed quite a situation here." Maya stepped forward, her transformation from victim to executive now complete in her mother's commanding presence. The helpless young woman in the hoodie had vanished entirely, replaced by a corporate leader who'd inherited both her mother's intelligence and her ruthless business instincts. "Mom, I'd like you to meet Ms. Karen Williams, our Terminal 3 gate manager with 15 years of service." Maya's tone carried surgical irony. "She's been providing me with an extremely thorough demonstration of our current customer service protocols." The subtle emphasis on current wasn't lost on anyone paying attention. Changes were coming, and Karen had just volunteered herself as the catalyst. Patricia's laser focus shifted to Karen, who stood frozen like prey caught in a predator's gaze. The gate manager's earlier confidence had evaporated completely, replaced by the dawning horror of someone who'd just realized they'd attacked a shark's cub in front of the entire ocean. "Ms. Williams," Patricia's voice could have cut glass. "I'm Patricia Johnson, Chief Executive Officer of Pinnacle Airlines. I understand you've been assisting my daughter with her travel arrangements tonight?" Karen's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The business card she'd been clutching, Maya's COO credentials, fluttered to the floor like a dying leaf, landing among the scattered contents of the bag she'd so violently dumped 20 minutes earlier. The corporate investigation unfolds. Patricia's chief legal advisor stepped forward, tablet glowing with prepared data. "Ma'am, we've completed the preliminary review you requested during your flight from Atlanta." Patricia nodded without breaking eye contact with Karen. Her gaze was surgical, dissecting every micro-expression of guilt and panic crossing the gate manager's face. "Please share our findings with everyone present," Patricia commanded. "Transparency is crucial when addressing systematic failures in our organization." The advisor's voice carried across the gate area, clearly audible to Jessica's live stream and its growing audience of 3,247 viewers. Ms. Karen Williams, employee identification number 7734, has been involved in 14 documented customer service incidents over the past 18 months. Murmurs rippled through the crowd like wind through wheat. Passengers began recording on multiple phones, creating a surreal forest of cameras documenting Patricia's corporate response in real time. 8 of these incidents, the advisor continued with devastating precision, specifically involved discrimination complaints filed by passengers of color. 3 resulted in formal legal challenges. Our risk assessment department estimates potential liability exposure at $2.3 million in pending settlements. Karen's face had gone from pale to gray. She looked like she might vomit. This evening's incident, the advisor concluded, live-streamed to thousands of viewers and documented by multiple witnesses, represents significant additional reputational damage to Pinnacle Airlines' brand equity. The CEO's professional fury. Patricia stepped closer to Karen, her heels clicking against the terminal floor like a countdown timer. Each step seemed to diminish Karen's authority further. "Ms. Williams, in my 23 years building this airline from a small regional carrier into an $8.7 billion international company, I have never, and I mean never, been more embarrassed by an employee's conduct." Her voice remained perfectly modulated, but the fury underneath was molten steel barely contained by professional courtesy. "You didn't simply discriminate against a random passenger tonight. You discriminated against my daughter, your chief operating officer, the woman who helped design our current operational protocols and who sits on our executive board." Patricia's voice grew colder with each revelation. "You broadcast your prejudice to thousands of people. You cost this company its reputation. You humiliated my family. And worst of all, you did it with such casual cruelty that it's clear this wasn't aberrant behavior. This was Tuesday evening for you." Karen's desperate defense. Karen finally found her voice, though it came out as a desperate whisper. "Mrs. Johnson, please. I didn't know who she was. The system didn't flag her as executive staff. She was dressed so casually, and we have security protocols for suspicious passengers." "Stop!" Patricia's single word cut through Karen's excuses like a blade through silk. "Just stop talking before you make this worse for yourself." She turned to address the crowd, ensuring her words carried to every phone camera and live stream viewer. "What you're hearing is exactly the problem. Ms. Williams assumed my daughter was suspicious because she saw a young black woman in comfortable clothes and decided she couldn't possibly belong in first class." Patricia's media training showed in every gesture, every perfectly modulated phrase designed for maximum impact across social platforms. She never properly verified Maya's credentials. She never followed standard passenger assistance protocols. She made assumptions based purely on racial bias and then doubled down when challenged. The immediate corporate response. Patricia turned back to her security team with military precision. "Ms. Williams, your employment with Pinnacle Airlines is terminated immediately, effective this moment. Please surrender your badge, access cards, and any company property in your possession." Karen's legs nearly buckled. 15 years of employment, pension contributions, health benefits, all evaporating in the harsh fluorescent light of Terminal 3. "You can't do this," Karen stammered. "I have seniority rights, union protection, my pension." You forfeited those considerations, Patricia replied without a trace of emotion, when you chose discrimination over dignity, when you chose humiliation over hospitality, when you chose to represent my company's values with such spectacular failure that it required CEO intervention. Patricia's legal advisor stepped forward with prepared documentation. Ms. Williams, termination for cause eliminates severance pay and impacts pension vesting. You'll receive information about COBRA health coverage continuation, but company contributions end today. Maya's leadership emergence. Maya stepped forward, and Patricia yielded the spotlight to her daughter with visible pride. This wasn't rescue. This was empowerment. This was a masterclass in family business succession. Ms. Williams, Maya said, her voice now carrying the full authority of her executive position, while your actions tonight were personally hurtful, they've also provided valuable insight into systematic problems within our customer service structure. She addressed the crowd and cameras with the confidence of someone born for leadership. This incident will serve as a catalyst for comprehensive organizational change throughout Pinnacle Airlines operations. Maya's transformation was complete. Gone was any trace of the humiliated young woman from 30 minutes ago. In her place stood a corporate executive who'd turned personal attack into company-wide reform opportunity. The systematic changes announced, Patricia and Maya worked in perfect tandem, demonstrating the family business partnership that had built their airline empire from regional carrier to industry giant. Effective Monday morning, Patricia announced to the crowd and cameras, Pinnacle Airlines is allocating $15 million for comprehensive bias prevention initiatives across all domestic and international operations. The number sent ripples through the crowd. This wasn't corporate damage control, this was systematic transformation with real financial commitment. Maya continued seamlessly, her voice projecting executive confidence. Every customer-facing employee, from gate agents to flight attendants to ground crews, will complete mandatory bias recognition and prevention certification within 60 days. We're installing AI-powered interaction monitoring systems at every gate, Patricia added, to identify problematic behavior patterns before they escalate to discrimination incidents. Monthly audits by independent civil rights organizations, Maya concluded, will ensure compliance and provide transparency to our passengers and shareholders. The personal stakes revealed. Patricia's voice softened slightly as she looked at Maya, allowing maternal pride to show through her CEO armor. This isn't just business policy revision. This is deeply personal. She turned back to the crowd and cameras. My daughter earned her chief operating officer position through merit, not family connections. MBA from Wharton at 21. 5 years of operational experience starting in baggage handling and working up through every department. The respect of our board of directors based on performance metrics, not birthright. Maya nodded, adding with quiet strength, what happened to me tonight happens to countless passengers who don't have corporate credentials to protect them, who don't have CEO mothers to call for backup. That's why these systematic changes matter far beyond my personal experience. The live stream cultural impact. Jessica's Facebook Live had exploded into a cultural phenomenon. Viewer count, 6,191, and climbing exponentially as shares multiplied across platforms. Major news outlets were already running breaking news segments. CEO Mom, #Pinnacle Accountability, and #Airport Justice was trending worldwide. Comments flooded in from 6 continents. This is how you handle corporate discrimination. Family business goals achieved. Other airlines scrambling to review policies. Patricia Johnson should run for president. Maya Johnson is the future of business leadership. The industry ripple effect. Patricia's phone buzzed constantly with calls from competitors, board members, shareholders, and international news organizations. She glanced at caller ID CEOs from Delta, American, and United, requesting emergency conference calls to discuss industry-wide discrimination policy reviews. The aviation industry is watching this live stream, Patricia told the crowd with strategic awareness. What Pinnacle Airlines does in response to tonight's incident will establish new standards for customer service accountability across all major carriers. Her words weren't just corporate speak. They were a declaration of industry leadership through crisis transformation. Karen's final humiliation. As corporate security prepared Karen's escort from the premises, Patricia delivered one final message with surgical precision. Ms. Williams, you'll receive comprehensive information about bias prevention training programs available in our industry. Completion will be required for any future aviation employment. Maya added quietly but audibly. There will also be a public apology video required, not to us personally, but to every passenger who has ever been made to feel unwelcome in an airport because of how they look. The gate area buzzed with electric energy as passengers processed what they'd witnessed. Not just a discrimination incident and corporate response, but a masterclass in leadership, family unity, and systematic change implementation. Patricia put her arm around Maya's shoulders, and for just one moment, they weren't CEO and COO. They were simply mother and daughter, standing together against injustice with the full weight of corporate power backing their moral authority. Now, Patricia said, checking her own expensive Cartier watch, I believe we both have flights to catch and a company to reform. 3 hours later, Pinnacle Airlines Corporate Communications Center. While Maya and Patricia flew toward Los Angeles, their corporate machine had already shifted into crisis management overdrive. The live stream footage was being analyzed by legal teams. The discrimination incident was trending on every major platform, and competitors were scrambling to audit their own customer service protocols. By midnight Pacific time, Pinnacle Airlines had released a comprehensive public statement that would reshape industry standards overnight. Karen's immediate consequences. Karen Williams sat in her Honda Civic in JFK's employee parking garage, staring at her phone screen in disbelief. Her Pinnacle Airlines email account had been deactivated. Her security badge no longer worked. 15 years of employment had evaporated in 30 minutes. The termination paperwork, delivered by corporate courier to her Queens apartment, laid out the full scope of her professional destruction. Immediate termination for cause, forfeiture of accumulated vacation pay, $8,400, pension vesting suspended pending legal review, health insurance terminated at month's end, permanent notation in personnel file, terminated for discriminatory conduct, banned from all Pinnacle Airlines properties worldwide, required completion of 40-hour bias prevention certification for any future aviation industry employment. But the personal humiliation was just beginning. The viral reckoning. Jessica's live stream has been shared 47,000 times across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Karen's face was now permanently associated with airport discrimination. Her name had become a hashtag. Karen Williams' Pinnacle was trending with thousands of comments dissecting every moment of her behavior. Local news stations had picked up the story. The New York Post ran the headline, "Gate Shame, Airport Karen Humiliates Airline CEO's Daughter." The Daily News went with, "Karma at 30,000 feet, racist gate agent fired after attacking boss's kid." Karen's neighbors recognized her from the viral footage. Her Facebook account was flooded with angry messages. Her LinkedIn profile became a warning to other employers about toxic workplace behavior. The corporate investigation deepens. Patricia's legal team worked through the night, conducting a comprehensive review of Karen's employment history. What they discovered painted a disturbing pattern of systematic discrimination. Documented incidents, 18 months. 14 customer service complaints. Naming Karen specifically, 8 involved passengers of color being subjected to additional screening. 3 resulted in formal discrimination lawsuits, settled quietly. 12 complaints about hostile and unprofessional behavior. 6 instances of lost first-class boarding passes requiring passengers to prove their ticket purchases. Financial impact assessment. Legal settlements. $340,000 paid to affected passengers. Lost revenue from passengers. Switching airlines, $127,000. Reputation management costs, $89,000. Employee retraining expenses, $34,000. Total cost of Karen's discrimination, $590,000 before tonight's incident. The investigation revealed that Karen's behavior had been escalating for months, enabled by supervisors who ignored complaints rather than addressing systematic problems. The mother-daughter reform implementation, flying at 35,000 feet toward Los Angeles, Maya and Patricia used the flight time to design comprehensive organizational changes that would prevent future discrimination incidents. Phase 1. Immediate changes. Week 1. Maya drafted implementation protocols on her laptop, while Patricia handled media calls from concerned board members and curious competitors. Emergency bias training for all JFK Terminal 3 staff, mandatory attendance, installation of audio-video monitoring at every gate position, customer service script revision to eliminate subjective language, anonymous reporting hotline for discrimination, witnesses, passenger advocacy liaison hired for each major hub. Phase 2, Systematic Reform, Month 1. Patricia's executive assistant, working from the Atlanta headquarters, coordinated with department heads to implement broader changes. AI-powered analysis of passenger interaction patterns to identify bias, monthly diversity and inclusion workshops for all employees, customer feedback integration into performance reviews, quarterly discrimination prevention audits by external civil rights organizations. Executive compensation tied to inclusion metrics and complaint resolution rates. Phase 3. Industry Leadership, Quarter 1. Maya presented her vision for making Pinnacle Airlines the gold standard for inclusive customer service. Partnership with NOACP, Anti-Defamation League, and other civil rights organizations. Annual $5 million fund for bias prevention research and community programs. Public quarterly reports on discrimination complaints and resolution outcomes. Industry conference hosting to share best practices with competitors. Academic collaboration with business schools to study corporate discrimination prevention. The Passenger Compensation Program. Patricia's team implemented immediate passenger relief for everyone affected by the evening's events. Direct compensation, full flight refunds for all 247 passengers on Flight 847, $127,000, $500 travel vouchers for each passenger affected by the delay, first-class upgrade vouchers for passengers who witnessed the discrimination. Personal apology letters from both Patricia and Maya. Direct phone line to customer service executives for any future concerns. Jessica Martinez. Special recognition. Jessica received a personal call from Maya while still in the JFK terminal, waiting for her connecting flight. Ms. Martinez, your courage to document tonight's incident protected not just me, but countless future passengers. Pinnacle Airlines would like to offer you a position on our new passenger advocacy board, plus covering your travel expenses to our quarterly meetings. Jessica's live stream audience of 8,000-plus viewers watched her accept the appointment, creating another viral moment of positive corporate response to citizen journalism. The industry ripple effect. By morning, 3 major competitors had announced policy reviews. Delta Airlines, comprehensive review of customer service protocols with focus on preventing discriminatory behavior. American Airlines, investment in bias prevention training following industry incident. United Airlines, enhanced customer advocacy programs to ensure inclusive travel experience. The Federal Aviation Administration issued a statement encouraging airlines to adopt Pinnacle's transparency model for discrimination reporting. The public apology requirement. As part of her termination agreement, Karen was required to film a public apology video within 72 hours. The statement, coached by Pinnacle's legal team but delivered in Karen's own words, would be posted on the airline's official channels. I sincerely apologize to Maya Johnson and every passenger who felt discriminated against because of my actions. My behavior was unacceptable and did not represent Pinnacle Airlines' values or my own better judgment. I am committed to learning from this experience through required bias prevention training and personal reflection on how my assumptions affect other people's dignity. The video would remain permanently archived as part of Pinnacle's transparency commitment. The intellectual victory. The most powerful aspect of Maya and Patricia's response wasn't the swift justice against Karen. It was the transformation of a humiliating incident into systematic organizational improvement. Maya had never raised her voice, never threatened, never used wealth or family connections as weapons. Instead, she documented everything, maintained dignity under pressure, and turned personal attacks into corporate reform opportunities. Patricia had demonstrated how real leadership responds to crisis, not with cover-ups or damage control, but with transparency, accountability, and meaningful change that benefits everyone. The employee response pinnacle. Airline staff across all locations responded positively to the announced changes. 94% of employees supported increased bias prevention training, 87% requested additional diversity and inclusion resources. Customer service satisfaction scores increased 23% within the first month. Employee retention improved as workers felt proud of their company's values. 6 months later, measurable impact. The reforms produced quantifiable results that became industry benchmarks. Discrimination complaints, down 91% across all Pinnacle operations. Customer satisfaction, up 34% in post-flight surveys. Employee engagement, up 28% in annual reviews. Media coverage, 89% positive mentions in business press. Stock performance, up 12% as investors rewarded ethical leadership industry recognition. Corporate Responsibility Award. From International Aviation Association, Maya and Patricia had proven that doing the right thing wasn't just morally correct. It was profitable, sustainable, and created lasting positive change that extended far beyond their own company. The incident at Gate 42 had become a case study in business schools worldwide, demonstrating how family leadership, corporate responsibility, and moral courage could transform a crisis into a catalyst for systematic improvement. 6 months later, Harvard Business School case study presentation. Maya Johnson stood before 300 MBA students in Harvard's largest lecture hall, her transformation from that humiliated young woman at JFK now complete. At 23, she'd become the youngest executive to address Harvard's annual Leadership and Ethics Symposium. Behind her, a PowerPoint slide displayed measurable results that had revolutionized an entire industry. Pinnacle Airlines transformation metrics. Discrimination complaints, 94% reduction. Customer satisfaction scores, 41% increase. Employee diversity recruitment, 67% improvement. Revenue growth, $340 million attributed to enhanced reputation. Industry awards, 7 major recognitions for inclusive practices. Competitor adoption rate, 89% of major airlines implemented similar protocols. 6 months ago, Maya began, her voice carrying the quiet authority that had emerged from that terrible night. I was dumped on a dirty airport floor by someone who saw my skin color and casual clothes and decided I didn't belong in first class. The auditorium fell silent. Every phone was recording. The live stream had 15,000 viewers across LinkedIn and YouTube. The family business legacy revealed. What you witnessed in that viral video wasn't just corporate crisis management, Maya continued. It was the culmination of a 25-year partnership between my mother and me. Behind her, new slides revealed the Johnson family's remarkable journey. Patricia Johnson's background. Single mother who started with one leased cargo plane in 1999, built Pinnacle Airlines from $50,000 startup to $8.7 billion corporation, first black woman to lead a major U.S. airline featured on Fortune's Most Powerful Women list for 8 consecutive years. Maya's preparation, Worked summers in every airline department since age 14, MBA from Wharton at 21 while working full-time in operations. Promoted based on performance metrics, not family connection. Youngest COO in aviation industry history. My mother didn't rescue me that night, Maya explained to the fascinated students. She empowered me to rescue an entire system that was failing passengers every day, the values demonstrated through crisis. Maya clicked to her next slide, leadership principles under pressure. When Karen Williams humiliated me, I had choices. I could have revealed my identity immediately. I could have had her fired within minutes. I could have used privilege as a weapon. She paused, ensuring every word carried weight. Instead, I chose documentation over drama, data over emotion, systematic change over personal revenge. These weren't just moral choices, they were strategic business decisions that created lasting value for everyone. The ripple effect across industries. Maya's presentation revealed how their airport incident had sparked changes far beyond aviation. Corporate America's response. 47. Fortune 500 companies implemented pinnacle protocols for discrimination prevention. Business schools now require bias prevention coursework. Corporate boards demanding quarterly diversity and inclusion reports. Executive compensation increasingly tied to inclusive leadership metrics. Government and legal changes. Federal Aviation Administration adopted Pinnacle's transparency standards. Department of Transportation proposed airline discrimination reporting requirements. Civil rights organizations partnered with 12 major corporations using Pinnacle's model. Legal precedent established for live stream evidence in discrimination cases. Social media and citizen journalism. Jessica Martinez, now Pinnacle's Director of Passenger Advocacy, joined Maya on stage via video call from the company's Los Angeles headquarters. That night, I thought I was just documenting injustice, Jessica told the Harvard audience. I didn't realize I was creating evidence for systematic change. My live stream proved that citizen journalism can hold corporations accountable in real time. The mother-daughter partnership model. Patricia Johnson appeared on the large screen via satellite from Pinnacle's Atlanta boardroom, addressing the students directly. Maya and I didn't plan what happened at JFK, but we were prepared for it. 25 years of building a business together meant we could respond as partners, not just as mother and daughter. Patricia's executive presence filled the lecture hall even through video. The most important lesson for future leaders is this. Family businesses aren't about nepotism or privilege. They're about shared values, complementary strengths, and mutual accountability. Maya nodded, adding, "My mother provided the authority to implement change. I provided the vision for what that change should look like. Together, we proved that personal integrity and business success aren't competing priorities. They're the same goal achieved through different methods." The personal growth journey. Maya's voice softened as she addressed the human element of her story. 6 months ago, I was a young executive who'd never been publicly humiliated. I'd never been judged so harshly by strangers. I'd never had my dignity stripped away in front of hundreds of people. She clicked a personal slide showing her at various ages, working in airline hangars as a teenager, graduating from Wharton, accepting her COO appointment, and finally standing confidently at Harvard. That night taught me that real leadership isn't about having power, it's about using whatever platform you have to lift others up. The most powerful response to hatred isn't anger or revenge. It's creating systematic change that prevents other people from experiencing the same pain. The broader social impact. Maya presented data that demonstrated how their corporate response had influenced broader social conversations. Educational impact. 127 universities incorporated the Pinnacle case study into business ethics curricula high schools, using the incident to teach media literacy and civic engagement. Corporate training programs referencing Maya's dignified response model, community engagement. $2.3 million donated to civil rights organizations through the Pinnacle Foundation. 340 scholarships awarded to underrepresented students pursuing aviation careers.
monthly community forums hosted at Pinnacle facilities discussing workplace bias international recognition. United Nations Global Compact featured Pinnacle as model for corporate responsibility. European Union aviation authorities studied their discrimination prevention protocols. International business leaders requesting consultation on inclusive leadership practices. The call to action. Personal empowerment. Maya stepped closer to her audience, her voice carrying the passion that had driven 6 months of transformation. Every person in this room will face moments when you witness injustice, when you experience discrimination, when you have the choice between staying silent and speaking up. She paused, making eye contact across the auditorium. Your response in those moments will define not just your character, but your potential to create positive change. You don't need to be a CEO's daughter to make a difference. You need courage, preparation, and the belief that dignity and intelligence are more powerful than anger and privilege. Practical guidance for future leaders. Maya outlined specific actions for students entering the business world. If you experience discrimination, document everything with photos, videos, and written records. Stay calm but firm in asserting your rights. Know company policies and legal protections. Seek witnesses and allies who can support your account. Focus on systematic change, not just personal justice if you witness discrimination. Record incidents when safe to do so, like Jessica did. Speak up immediately if possible. Offer support to affected individuals. Follow up to ensure organizational response. Share experiences to educate others and prevent future incidents. As future business leaders, implement transparent reporting systems for discrimination. Tie executive compensation to inclusive leadership metrics. Partner with civil rights organizations for independent audits. Create employee resource groups with real decision-making power. Use crisis moments as catalysts for systematic improvement. The final message, legacy and vision. Maya concluded with the vision that had sustained her through 6 months of intense public attention. Patricia Johnson taught me that building a business isn't just about profit margins and market share. It's about creating an organization that reflects your values and improves the world around it. She gestured to the screen showing Pinnacle's current diversity statistics, now industry-leading across all metrics. Maya Johnson learned that personal pain can become a public purpose, that family support and professional competence can work together to create lasting change, that the most powerful response to discrimination isn't retaliation, it's transformation. The engagement call. As Maya wrapped up her presentation, she issued a direct challenge to her audience and the thousands watching online. I challenge every person watching this to share one story of discrimination you've witnessed or experienced. Tag 3 friends who need to hear about dignified resistance. Subscribe to Harvard Business School's leadership channel for more stories of ethical business transformation. She smiled, the same quiet confidence that had carried her through that terrible night at JFK. Most importantly, remember that change doesn't happen in boardrooms or lecture halls. It happens in airports and offices and schools, and everywhere people choose courage over comfort, justice over convenience. Final reflection. 6 months ago, Karen Williams saw a young black woman in casual clothes and decided she didn't belong. Tonight, you've heard from a CEO and COO who transformed that moment of hatred into a movement for change that's still growing. Maya's voice carried across the silent auditorium and through screens around the world. Be the leader who turns crisis into catalyst. Be the family member who supports and empowers. Be the citizen who documents injustice and demands better. Be the business executive who proves that doing the right thing isn't just morally correct, it's the most profitable long-term strategy. The world is watching. Make sure your response is something future generations can build on. What discrimination have you witnessed? Share your story in the comments below. Tag someone who needs to hear about quiet strength and dignified resistance. Subscribe to Black Soul Stories for more inspiring tales of triumph through adversity.
Remember, real power isn't the loudest voice in the room, it's the most thoughtful one. Be like Maya and Patricia Johnson. Turn your pain into purpose, your platform into progress, and your family bonds into forces for positive change. The next viral moment could be yours. Make sure it's one that lifts everyone up.